Mothers, if your kid ever slams a jelly sandwich on the coffee table, you get the hell out of there. Don't even think about it. Just get the hell out of there. We Need to Talk About Kevin stars Tilda Swinton, Ezra Miller, John C. Reilly, and is directed by Lynne Ramsey. What's up, guys? The October madness is almost over. I'm happy, but yet I'm sad, but I'm really happy because I can finally focus on just my normal reviews now. You know, I don't have to cover the Halloween franchise, which is my favorite franchise, 18 times in a row. I don't have to do that anymore. So it's kind of refreshing. And I've deemed November like I'm gonna focus really, really hard on my patron requests because I owe my patrons that. I've neglected them a bit in October because it's October, it's Halloween, so you want to get the biggest bang for your buck. The new movie came out, and I was just so focused on all that stuff that I neglected my patron reviews, and I felt bad about that. Plus, there's a lot of movies that my patrons requested that I really want to watch, like that one right there, Savage Streets. That one's coming soon. Just got that in the mail today, actually. And yes, everything that I make off of my patron page goes right back into the channel, right back into buying movies like that to review, equipment, all that stuff. But this one is long overdue for a really awesome person, Joseph Lionel, who works in the business, I think. A very intelligent guy. He's one of those guys on Killer Flicks that when he gives a response, you can tell it's a very intelligent response. And he recommended this movie, We Need to Talk About Kevin, which I've never seen quite a while ago, actually. And I've been meaning to get to this one. So really excited to finally jump into this movie. And I watched it last night. And boy, let me tell you, there is a lot to discuss with this movie. Very unique film by Lynne Ramsey, who you might remember did You Were Never Really Here with Joaquin Phoenix, which actually was in my top 5 of the year. It's that good. But We Need to Talk About Kevin is really about a psychopath. It made me think of those cases of, like Columbine. What led those two kids to do what they did to shoot up that school. By the way, this will be a spoiler review. But this is kind of that study, not that all kids are just, psychopaths and they have no feelings and no remorse at all, but Kevin in this movie does. And, you could approach this from just a conventional way, the way that we've seen a lot of these movies unfold. Hell, even My Friend Dahmer was kind of told in a chronological way about his childhood. This was much more ambitious. From a directing standpoint, what Lynne Ramsey pulled off in this movie, I think, is genius. The best word I can come up with is chaos. That's what this movie felt like. The directing style felt like chaos. And I think that is who Eva is as a character. That is Kevin's mother, played by Tilda Swinton, who does a phenomenal job in this movie. Actually, all the acting in this movie is phenomenal. But I really have to give major props to Tilda Swinton for carrying this whole thing. She even was like producing this movie way before she decided to even star in it. The blood, sweat, and tears is all over the screen. And what I love the most about this is just that relationship between Eva and Kevin, because it's really interesting and it's believable. I think, being a father myself, not saying, my son's like this or anything, but I'm saying I've seen this tug of war, this push and pull between mothers and sons. And then you could have the father in there who gets like the utmost respect. The father in this movie is played by John C. Reilly. And it's just so interesting to watch how Kevin just psychologically tortures his mother throughout this whole movie. Makes her life a living hell. And so much so that there's moments where she crosses the line as a mother. She ends up hurting Kevin in some of the scenes in this movie. But you don't condone it, but you understand where it comes from. She didn't set out to hurt her child, but he just pushes and pushes and pushes her to the point that eventually she just loses it. And then you got the father, where every time he steps into frame, it's like Kevin just snaps into, okay, I'm going to respect this person. And you might look at that as he's deceiving his mother, or that just might be his natural behavior. And I do believe that there are some children out there, especially boys, that, you know, they struggle with their mothers. And then they eventually end up loving their mothers to death. Not the case in this movie, of course. The only time that he respects his mother, or either just shows her compassion, is when he's sick. The one scene where he's really sick. But for the most part, there is a scene where she's trying to connect with Kevin when he's a teenager. And they go to this restaurant, and she's just wanting, to get to know him. And he pretty much says, hey, let's just cut to the chase. Let's cut all the bullshit out of the way. You're gonna want to try to, get to know me on a personal level. You're gonna want to, try to prepare me for life, all this stuff. But you might as well just save your breath because I don't care. That scene really hit home for me. It made you really feel bad for Eva as a character. Just a really tragic relationship. And sadly, I believe there are probably relationships like that. And I don't know if that's because of the believability of the script or, just the direction by Lynne Ramsey, but it all just comes together so freaking well. And also, Ezra Miller does a phenomenal job in this movie. But then also the other child actor, and I actually looked his name up because he was that good. His name is Jasper Newell. Yeah, this kid, I wonder if they had to get this kid therapy after this movie because his performance was so believable in this. A lot of the scenes where Kevin is tormenting Eva are with this child, and it doesn't feel like acting at all. The scene where he slams the jelly sandwich on the coffee table. Little moments like that just happen over and over and over in this movie, and you're just so caught up in it. Look guys, movies like this don't come along that often. Movies this well directed don't come along that often. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't watch this earlier. It was that good. I watched it with my wife last night and we were both like, wow, that was a movie. But don't expect this to be like a horror movie because it's really not that at all. There are horrific acts that happen at the end of it when he goes into the pep rally and he kills all the kids. But it's not that at all. It's really a character study. You really are a fly on the wall of Kevin and Eva's life throughout this whole journey. And it's not told in chronological order, which I thought was really cool. It bounces around. It's chaotic. There's that word again. This whole movie feels chaotic. And I'm glad that Lynne Ramsey went the extra mile in the director's chair and took some major risks with this movie. Or not really risks because, any audience is going to love this, but just to be able to edit something like this, put it together, and make it feel like chaos is not an easy thing. It's easier to just go chronological, tell the story. But, the story's told, but there's just this chaos permeating throughout the script and throughout the way the story is directed. And from a story standpoint, you could go that one little extra step and say this could be like the mother of an evil child. You could easily turn this into that type of horror movie with just a couple of extra scenes in there. But I'm glad that they didn't do that. This felt real. It felt like it could happen. Now, as far as any cons, it's hard for me to really say that there are any cons in this movie. I don't think it's for everybody. I think some people might have a tough time dealing with how this story is told, especially in that first half. I think once Ezra Miller, the teenage version of the character comes in, then it feels a little bit more consistent. Before I give a rating to this scene just really popped in my head. There's a scene where Kevin, as a teenager, he's already incarcerated and he's looking at the camera and he's saying, you are really wanting to watch me. You're entertained by me.
I mean, it's got so bad that half the time the people on TV, inside the TV, they're watching TV. And what are all these people watching?
You're not entertained by, just happy shows on TV. For the most part, people love this type of entertainment. Murder and death and psychopaths. And that scene really stuck with me too, and I think there's a little something to be said about that with horror fans, actually. We are entertained by the darker side of life. But anyway, guys, I'm rambling. Gotta give this movie, my personal opinion, I think it's a Trapped on an Island. Or super high purchase worthy, but I'm gonna give it a Trapped on an Island because it's a really well done film. I actually want to watch it again. You know, it's not that often that a movie is directed this well. So thank you, Joseph Lionel, for recommending this movie. I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to more patron requested reviews coming up real soon. And basically how that works is if you pledge a certain tier to my Patreon page, then you can get a review like Joseph just did. And I will tell you, like every single review I've done that was requested by a patron, I've ended up really loving. So you guys have great taste. Anyway, guys, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free Fall Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and now Stardust. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drumdum out.